Hello and welcome. So today's video is going to be a royal legend slash folklore from Scotland. So MacAlpins Treason, or the treachery of Scone, is a medieval royal legend about how Kenneth MacAlpine became king of the Picts, brought together two royal kingdoms into one, and effectively started off modern Scotland. So Scotland in the 9th century was pretty much like what the other countries in the British Isles were, and divided into a series of kingdoms. There was Pictland, which was in northern and eastern Scotland, Dalriata in Argyll and the west of Scotland, Altcolt, which was based around Dumbarton Rock, and Bernicia in southeastern Scotland and northern England. So Kenneth MacAlpine was the king of Dalriata. He was born sometime between 800 and 810 on the island of Iona in the Inner Hebrides. So his father was Alpine, who was king of Dalriata, and his mother was said to have been descended from a Pictish royal house, while his great-grand uncle had also been king of the Picts in the 700s. So that meant that Kenneth had a claim to both the crowns of Pictland and of Dalriata. Now, there are few sources on how MacAlpine became king of the Picts. One of them is the Prophecy of Berhan, which is a long poem written in the Middle Irish language. It says that in 841, MacAlpine attacked the Pictish army and defeated them. Then in 848, he invited the Pictish king Durest X and his nobles to Scone to talk about MacAlpine's claim to the Dalriata throne. Durest and his nobles went along to this meeting, as did all the claimants to the Pictish throne. So at Scone, MacAlpine had a banquet put on for his guests. And of course, the Picts were given lots of alcohol, and soon they were very drunk. MacAlpine's men then pulled out some bolts from the benches that they were sat on, causing all the Picts to fall into a concealed pit below them. In these pits were sharp spikes and blades, so when the men fell into the pits, they were impaled on them. Any of the men who had not died immediately from falling into this pit were killed by MacAlpine's men, who then robbed them of their clothes and jewels. MacAlpine then became the king of both Dalriata and Pictland, and combined the two kingdoms into one, naming it the Kingdom of Alba, which then eventually expanded and became what we know as Scotland. Gerald of Wales tells a similar story in the Principus Instruction, though in his version he does not mention Kenneth MacAlpine or Durest. His story just says that the Scots invited the Picts over for a banquet, and at this banquet, at a certain point, a pin was pulled out from the chairs and all the Picts fell into a pit below. So historically, Kenneth MacAlpine did become king of the Picts, and he also formed the Kingdom of Alba. But the sources don't actually really say how he became king of the Picts. It was thought that he became king after defeating them in battle, but we are not sure whether the treachery of Scone actually took place. Historian Benjamin Hudson argues that Gerald of Wales's account was based on the, now please excuse my pronunciation, please. So he said it was based on the Broflang Scunia, which is a lost 11th century tale of Scottish origin, which appears in the list of literary tales in the Book of Leinster. In this tale, the same sort of thing happens. Obviously, Kenneth MacAlpine and that is not mentioned in it, just that there is a banquet and at some point something happens and all the people that have been invited to the banquet are put into a big pit. So that's a video about MacAlpins Treason. Do you reckon that the treachery of Scone actually happened? The only actual sources we have for it happening were written centuries later, so can we be sure that it actually happened, or whether people were just embellishing and making stuff up? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!